Hello, people of Tube, and welcome back to another Down in Derpy podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Ty.
Yes, we'll be late to this one, so
All right,
just
I
give
will
them
bring
a bit.
I will bring Ellie back down real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. And Chloe is on her way, so yeah. So I will just wait till Chloe pops in, and then we shall get started. So I'm on size back too. So. Awkward. And we wait.
All right, I returned.
Did you run?
No, I was going like this when I was walking over to the room.
So run.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't running, but hold on.
All right. Well, so we are just waiting on Chloe to get in here. So
My headphones okay. Shut my doors. Also, my grandma is I went back with us. She's staying the night. All right.
good, good, good. All right. Well, while we are waiting for Chloe, now as everyone knows, the podcast was originally going to be on death. And it did get changed during as I was playing uh, Horizon Zero Dawn. Me and Ty actually had this conversation, and it ended up being changed into childhood memories. And instead of going back to death, I just said, fuck it, let's keep it childhood memories. So that's what we are going to talk about tonight is childhood memories and shit that happened to them and shit like that. So I do find it should be interesting because I find that when you get to know people and their past, sometimes you find out some interesting shit and it's fun. It is just fun to legit get to know people. So, all right, Ty, would you like to go first while we wait?
Yeah. Okay. I'll start. Now, I was born with ADHD and Asperger's, as you know. And when I was younger, I was into some really, really cringy stuff. I was into Sonic at one point, and I made my own Sonic fan characters. And what's actually kind of funny is when I was younger, I think I remember I really, really liked Superman. And like when I was younger, I would just wear Superman's clothes under my clothes when I went to school. Then when I got home, I would take them off and have the Superman costume on. And I did that with Spider-Man. I was really into Spider-Man at one point too, and also Batman. Not Iron Man yet because nobody liked Iron Man yet. and anyways, now one thing I'll bring up is there is kind of some, well, on my mom's part, there are some kind of not so good things because there's one thing that's not very good is that alcoholism kind of runs in my mom's side of her family. She's not an alcoholic, obviously, but my uncle is though, my mom's brother, and other members of my family have kind of had that as well. And I believe the curse is still kind of here because another person I won't say also has it. Not. Oh wait, Chloe. Hey.
Hi guys.
All right, I did get a new dog, but I had to bring her back downstairs. Once the video's over, you can go click to go see her, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, now
Hi Chris.
Hey, Chloe.
Okay, so now one thing I might bring up is one thing actually I might bring up. It's actually a really weird thing that happened one time I was at school in Davenport, Iowa. I was at the school called Jackson Elementary, and we were at the playground. And at one point, this one kid said, "What is that on the play on like the sidewalk?" And I went to go look, and it was a fingernail, like someone's fingernail that was torn off. It was on the sidewalk, and I was like, "Whoa." That was when I was in like I think it was kindergarten. No, it wasn't kindergarten. It was like really, I was like probably about 11 or 8 or something. But let's see. So there was another time.
I find that to be very ironic, considering the fact that I actually did cut my middle finger off at one time.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like your fingernail or your?
No, this half, like this top half of my finger.
Wait, why?
It's not like I did it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
It's not like I came into the kitchen one day and was like, man, I would love to see what it feels like to get my finger chopped off.
I'm fucking bored. Let's see what stitches feel like.
Yeah, no, Ty. It was an accident. I shut it in the door.
Oh,
yeah. There actually was one time. I might bring up is when I was younger. There was this one time when we lived in this old house still in Iowa, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I was like really, really mean to my brother, my brother who's like a little bit younger than me for some reason. And at one point I kept on telling Carter to throw a rock against like the glass, against like the door. That was a glass door. And Carter was like, no. I said, here, I'll show you how to do it. So I threw it and the glass basically shattered the whole glass door. I got in trouble.
yeah.
I don't know why, because me and my brother are best friends now. So I don't know why I didn't like him when I was younger. So
I heard sibling rivalry is a real thing.
Yeah. And there actually was another thing where actually I threw like a water gun in the air and it landed on my brother's head and it cracked in half. And then I said, Carter, you all right? And he was like, yeah. Why? It's like, I don't know. It's another kind of funny thing that happened. Now, anyways, now I might go into some other things. So obviously growing up, since my parents are in fact divorced, they did kind of have a good relationship at first, but when I was younger, when we had to, later on in life, it just seemed like all they ever do when they're around each other is argue. And honestly, like we moved to Georgia because Dad had a job here, and we had to move to Georgia because basically Dad would be here all alone, basically. But even when we went to Georgia, he still kind of went to work all the time. We rarely even got to see him. And I guess he lived at the house, but most of the days we don't even get to see him because he was at work so many times. And he's gotten to work in other countries. He's worked in Puerto Rico. He's worked in Nevada, all these other states. And so obviously, like my dad didn't really get to see my mom that often. So they weren't, because I guess like weren't really all that. I guess they stopped losing connection, I guess, because usually when they are with each other, all they did was just argue. Because they eventually, it was kind of my dad's idea for the divorce, but I think my mom was pretty upset about it though. But I live with my mom now, so and that's how it's been. And it's kind of back where I don't really get to see him that often, but I do get to see him at his condo sometimes. But anyways, back up to this. Okay, so yes, when I was younger, I was very, very into Sonic, and I was into Godzilla first. Then I got into Sonic. And another thing I was really into when I was younger is I really, really liked collecting bugs. Like for some reason, I was like a praying mantis. Ever since I saw a praying mantis in my yard, I got like so obsessed with praying mantises and stuff like that. And I wanted to catch them and keep them as pets and stuff. And let's see. So other things. Believe it or not, I actually got into music at the age of 13, even though I'm such a big music nerd now. Because literally, yeah. So I got into music at 13, but when I was younger, I was into a lot of new metal. I was into Linkin Park, and I was into Breaking Benjamin, basically just whatever the edgy 11-year-old at that time would listen to. And then when I was 13, I moved to Georgia. I started listening to Slipknot and Deadmau5 and stuff like that, and then just kind of don't listen to them anymore. I kind of grew out of them. But I won't talk about that now. Anyway, so let me see what else was I into. I was into Wally for like a day, and then I was out of it. And then I was in the Kung Fu Panda for a little bit, and then I got out of it pretty much only because there was a praying mantis in it. That's the only reason why I got into it.
I love it.
And let's see. So let's see. I did actually, when I was younger, I actually did have a golden. At first I had this one dog who was a wiener dog. His name was Fritzy, and he passed away. Unfortunately, I was really young when he died. But I do remember him passing away, and it was. Yeah, I mean, I think I remember being very upset when he died, but it happened so long ago that I don't really completely remember a whole lot about him. But I did have a golden retriever in Iowa, but we unfortunately could not bring her with us. She was good, but the thing is, she really, really hated kids, and we couldn't keep her with us. I think she actually bit like one of my brother's friends actually, and she just hated kids. I don't really know why. She just hated kids.
Probably because kids are assholes.
She just hates anyone that's a kid, and she hated other dogs too. Like one time, one of my brother's friends tried to go and get into like my mom's car, and she like wouldn't let him in for some reason. And she hasn't even met the kid before, but she was fine with adults. She just hated children for some reason. I don't know why. But she's probably dead now, I would assume, unfortunately. But I don't know. I guess I don't feel completely sad just because I don't have her anymore, I guess. But I was bawling when I had to get rid of her, though. Hold on, I'm gonna go get myself some chips. Okay, I'm back. Now, okay, let's sit here. Now, let's see. So, when also growing up in Davenport, Iowa, there was this one ice cream place called Whitey's. It's still by far my favorite ice cream place ever. It's only in the Quad Cities, which is Davenport, Iowa, and these Bettendorf, Iowa, and these cities in Illinois kind of close to it. Now, anyways, there was actually this one time when there was this one thing that opened up that was Michael's Fun World. And when I was a kid, the commercial said, like, I'm too old to go to Chuck E. Cheese. I'm going to go to Michael's Fun World. And so for some reason, that just triggered me into the sense that I hated Chuck E. Cheese at that point and only wanted to go to Michael's Fun World. And I had a deep, deep distaste for Chuck E. Cheese at that point for some reason. And, oh, hey, Will. I didn't notice you were there. Okay. Yeah, I was looking. Hello, Will. Okay, now, anyways. Let's see. Where was I? And for some reason, at one point, Dairy Queen, even though they didn't say anything about Whitey's, I grew a deep hatred for Dairy Queen, even though my mom actually knows the person that started. No, my mom's aunt knows the person that started Dairy Queen. I didn't know that. I just found that out a little bit recently. So one time I went to Whitey's and I ordered an ice cream. And basically what I did is I threw it right in the trash because for some reason I felt like, no, Dairy Queen is the superior one, even though I don't feel that way anymore. But that's kind of an awkward thing. I want to talk about that. Okay. Anyway. So, obviously I did have a brony phase, as you guys know. Unfortunately, I did. And luckily I'm out of it. But unfortunately, I still own some of the plushies. And also, one thing I actually might bring up, one of the only good things that came out of that came out of my Sonic fandom.
Oh.
It's a plushie of my OC, that Sonic OC that I made.
Wait, you said you made that?
No, I didn't make it. There was like a website called Shidoni. You could draw a picture and they would make it into a stuffed animal. It was like $80.
What's that website? I got a couple pictures.
I think Shidoni was shut down. I'm not sure, but
that's too bad. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's from Israel. I think that's where they're made. And they're pretty cool. They even come with this little thing that tells you all about it, like with this little description for your character and stuff. But anyway, so now let's see. I think of some other things. Okay, so really, you think?
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you think, and we'll let someone else talk.
Okay.
Okay. How about you, Chloe?
Well, I had a pretty mixed bag of childhood memories, and I had a really shitty childhood. But when you gave me the invite for the podcast, I started thinking, and I'm like, all right, 5 awesome memories from my childhood. The first thing that came to my mind, and I don't know if you guys may be too young for this, but if you guys remember a Speak and Spell, do any of you remember that? It was like an orange toy, and it spoke in robot writing, and it had like Hangman and things like that. and they had a math one just like it. I think that thing, I spent more hours on that stupid Speak and Spell, and I can't even find one. I looked on eBay. That was a huge part of my childhood because I've always been a real analytical wordsmith. And so I think that it's kind of interesting when I was looking back on all of the things in my childhood, how much they really have influenced me and who I am today. I still am, extremely strong with words. And, another thing when I was younger is I would set up my camcorder like in my bedroom or on my front yard, and I would just turn on like Starship and dance around, stupid shit, like the kind of shit that you'd never want anybody to see. But I can see how that carried with me through life because I've always been behind the camera. And now with my channel being in front of the camera, it's a little different, but it's interesting how all these little things from my life, I didn't realize it, but kind of were shaping who I were to be as an adult. And I don't think we really realize those things, how when we're just playing and having a good time and traveling or enjoying something. My first concert was New Kids on the Block. And I can honestly tell you, I'd never go to their concert. I don't know why it was such a big deal to me, but it was like a big deal. Like I got the tickets for Christmas and I was so excited. I was like, this is awesome. Now you couldn't pay me to go to their concert. And bad. And then I know that Ty was talking about having the glass shatter when he was throwing the gun, the water gun, I believe it was, at his brother. And I can remember my mom driving in the 78 Chevy Silverado over this haunted bridge. It's called the Eunice Williams Bridge. And they had mirrors on the Silverado that turned out if you had the camper on the back. And she didn't turn the mirrors back in after we came back from camping. And we went through this bridge and that mirror came in and just shattered glass all over me. I still have glass that comes out of my head from it. So I think it's amazing how, one, resilient we are, two, how much our childhood activities really do kind of give you, a foreshadow into who you're going to be. I don't play with bugs anymore. I don't catch salamanders. I don't crawl trees. But I'm really glad I spent a lot of my life doing those things as a child. And so I think that, one of my greatest memories was the Great Danes that we had. I came from a really horribly, very violent biological home. And when I moved into the home that adopted me, which was a train wreck, but they had this Great Dane, Sarah. And when you're next to a 200-pound dog, that stands like 6 feet tall on her back legs, you feel safe. And so I could just remember my connection with pets really solidifying because they made me happy and they made me feel safe and they were so reliable and dependable. And I still to this day value every little strand of fur on every one of my animals. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but I've had a crazy life. And as you guys know, things haven't been very easy. And I think that when I think about my childhood, I was really thankful, Chris, that you sent this invite to me because it really allowed me to put all the negativity aside and say, what are some things that were really awesome that I would be so proud about to talk about with people who may or may not want to know these things, but keep it interesting. And so I think that between the Silverado truck with the glass breaking and my parents taking a nap at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and giving me at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the keys to this huge truck, putting books in front of the, on the driver's seat and just telling me to drive. And I did that a lot in my childhood. I was 8 years old driving this huge truck around the town we live in. And the cops stopped me a few times. They just had me drive home. Try to get away with that today. It would not work. And only the other thing I had on my list was video games. I didn't have friends growing up, so video games became a really huge part of my life, and it allowed for me to get out of my head and out of my life and just kind of into something else. So video games are really important to me. And then I think that all in all, having all of these awesome memories really was a pleasure and an honor to be able to have those in life, because I'm sure you guys can relate. The internet has changed everything. People don't catch bugs anymore. People don't even know what a praying mantis is unless they Google it. So for me to have had the childhood that I did before the internet, crawling trees, playing with bugs, I'm blessed and I'm honored. And I'm thankful to be able to share that with you guys. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I think one thing I might bring up that I actually do kind of agree with is I've always been closer to animals than I have to people.
Yep.
Definitely easily because
Mm-hmm.
I never really had I had friends, but I didn't have very many growing up, and no one ever really invited me to ever go to their house or, well, I mean, rarely. Yeah, people don't really rarely ever invite me to come over to their house, and if it is, it's always, well, actually, I wouldn't say that, but I do have some friends that are Jordan, John, and Gabe that come over here, but Gabe is more of Carter's friend, and John, I knew John first, but I think he's more me and Carter's friend, but Gabe is definitely more Carter's friend, but I'm friends with him, but he's definitely more of Carter's friend. But Jordan I've known way longer than either of them, so Jordan I would say is more my friend, I suppose, but he's kind of he's a little immature, I gotta admit. But you guys already are obviously already know John, correct? Yes. He was that guy who was on the stream. Remember the guy who like turned the microphone into just shrill, breaching noise? Remember that guy?
Yeah.
That was John.
Nice.
And you remember he had he like wouldn't show like his face. It would just be like a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's John. And anyway, so yeah, but with animals always liked me. I don't know why. I mean, one thing that I was always closer to, I was always closer to adults, like teachers, than I was actual kids my age, and I was also closer to animals much more. And the thing is, like my pets, there are some of my pets I would honestly pick over some of other people, and well, not this family, but like some of my cousins or something like that. I don't know. Well, maybe that sounds wrong, but in a heartbeat, I suppose. And because my dog Riley, my dog Riley, he just like, one thing I really love about them is that they'll love you no matter what you do. Like you can be someone who's super unattractive or like doesn't have any friends and everything like that, and if you have a pet, they'll love you no matter how you look or how you are, I suppose. And the thing is with animals, like there were some animals that weren't even dogs or cats that like me. Like even like one time, like at my grandpa's farm, like back in this one farm in Iowa, he had a goat named Woody, and the goat was super attached to me. And the goat liked me a lot. And one time I was even at a zoo in Florida, and I was just playing on my phone, and there was this goat, and the goat just started trying to rubbed on my leg like he was trying to make friends with me or something. And I was like, oh, animals just like me. I'm not sure why, but animals really, really like me for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. I was always good with making friends with animals. So I honestly, I'd say I definitely prefer animals over people. I definitely say. And I've always been that way. I always loved animals and everything like that. And let's see, I might bring up movies. When I was a kid, I was really into Star Wars. I was really into Godzilla as well, but I was into Godzilla and Star Wars, and not quite as into the Star Wars as I used to be. I mean, I haven't watched the movies in a long time, I guess. And Godzilla, I've completely grown out of. I don't really like. I guess like I don't know. I'm just not really that into. I don't know. I never went back to it, I suppose. But anyway, so now actually I got into Godzilla because I played the game. I saw this game it was called Godzilla Destroy All Monsters when I was younger, and I wanted to play that. And then I went to go check out the movies and everything like that. And yeah, that's pretty much how it started. And actually, one of the movies at one point I actually watched the first Godzilla movie that a lot of people say is the best one. Where I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, right, Chris? You know the first one where it's in black and white.
Yeah.
I did see that one at one point when I was a kid, but I believe that one's kind of seen as the best one in the series. I think the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But anyway, so anyways, get out of that. So obviously, like after I was into all that stuff, I went through so many phases. I was into Godzilla, I was into Sonic, I was into insects, I was into, My Little Pony at one point. Unfortunately, I was a brony. I did go down that dark path at one point. And then I just stuck to music. When I was in the music, I never went into anything else. Like when I was at, I think, the age of 14, I got into music, and that's all I've been into ever since. And I'm probably, well, actually, I was in the geography at one point. I was in the geography, and that actually lasted a long time as well. I was in the geography and learning about other nations and their how prosperous another nation might be than another, or how something may be popular in one country but not popular at all in another country or something. For some reason, statistics like that just interested me, and I really got into the stuff like that. And I was able to, I literally was able to identify, point out every single country on the map, like every single country, and I was able to name all their flags. And then I could do the same with states as well, like U.S. states.
Is that a picture of Will on your wall?
What?
Got the same hat on?
No, that's Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange.
Okay, well, from here, it definitely could be Will.
Hold on, I'll show you.
Oh, it definitely does not look like Will. Nothing like Will.
Why would I have a picture of Will on my wall?
Well, you're a little strange sometimes, so you never know.
A big fan.
Yep. I might have a picture of him on the wall and Chris on the wall, maybe you on the wall.
Oh.
Listen, if I ever got a picture of all of us like together, I would put it on the wall. So.
I absolutely would too. I'd frame it and put it on the wall.
Yeah, it would sound cool, but if you just have just one of us, then it would.
Yeah, if you're taking Will's pictures and making a calendar of it, you've got fucking problems.
Yes. Wait, did you not know I had that calendar on there since I ever been on here?
I think your chair is usually to this way a little, and I think you're in a different chair usually. I have not seen this wood chair before. Oh, that's your bed.
What? What is this? Yeah, it's my bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put that bed in just recently.
Yeah, something's different. I can feel it.
I don't know. I don't think anything's changed.
Feels like I haven't been here in a while. Thanks for allowing me in your room.
Okay, now, let's see. You could probably go up to someone else. Will needs to share up some of his childhood. Give us some of your childhood, Will. We're in need of childhoodness. Go ahead. Speak onto us.
Well, honestly, I don't know any good stories of childhood or a whole lot of my childhood, really.
He wasn't paying attention during those years.
Yeah.
He actually slept through most of them.
Hey, the sleeping didn't come until middle school. Okay, there, bud. Anyway, yeah, honestly, the only thing I can remember is anytime I played, I was a big fan of like Hot Wheels and Legos and video games. Those were the go-to things I've always done, and I've kind of still have a thing for those things, especially video games, obviously. And I guess those are some big influences from my childhood. So I had a lot of near-death experiences throughout childhood. So that was a thing. Talk about them.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's that one time that I got flown from Beckley's Memorial Hospital in West Virginia all the way to Charleston, West Virginia, because I suddenly had like an asthma attack and ×2 ammonia or something like that. And I about died from that. So that was
Sounds
fun.
like some respiratory failure. That's some scary shit.
Yeah. There was also
I'm glad you made it through.
Yeah, well, I'm glad too. I'll be pissed if I was dead.
Yeah, I'd be geeked out.
There was another time where, well, actually, there was multiple times. I had this bike. It was a troublemaker bike. It had like troublemaker just slapped onto the little guard or whatever, and I'm pretty sure that bike was cursed because anytime I got on that thing, I always end up injuring myself. Anytime I get on. And there was one instance that I think I was going down a hill, and conveniently enough, at that time I was living in Oak Hill, West Virginia, and the chain popped. I had no like little handlebar brakes, so the only way I could stop the bike was to use my feet, and that didn't turn out so good. My legs got trapped into the bike frame like a pretzel, and drug me and the bike all the way down basically to the bottom, and oddly enough, not a scratch on me.
You know,
Wow.
I might bring up another thing. Do you guys know that I have claustrophobia?
I did not, but I can relate.
Well, I also have arachnophobia and a fear of cockroaches. That's it, and fear of birds. Now, anyways, now what I'm going to bring up why I have claustrophobia. Now, basically, why I had claustrophobia is when I was younger, I still am really skinny, but when I was like super skinny.
No, you're not.
What?
You fucking lie like a rug.
No, I'm skinny.
No, you're not. Oh, the camera's adding 20 pounds. Why are you showing me your dick? Is that what you're talking about, is skinny and shit? Because maybe that's why I'm not following along here.
Oh,
Well,
Okay.
But you legitimately got up and gave me a video dick.
Okay, but listen. Okay, so now, basically, when I was younger, I was super skinny, and I wanted to see if I could fit inside my locker.
Uh-oh.
My locker. So luckily, and actually, I did fit inside my locker. But then one person was walking by. The locker was open, and he said, "Oh, this locker's open." So he closed it, and I was in. And I was banging on the door trying to get out, and I was so scared. And apparently one of my teachers actually heard me in there, and so he tried to get it open. And at one point, I actually kicked my foot right through the locker, and it was just. And luckily, I got out. And it turns out the person who shut me in the locker actually just happened to be one of my friends. But he didn't know I was in. He did not know I was in. He just saw it open, and he just probably thought, "Oh, I'm gonna close this locker." But that's why I have claustrophobia. Just saying. I had claustrophobia ever since.
And what would you have done if a spider had been in your locker while you were shut in there? I don't know why, but that's just what my head asked me.
I probably would have shit my pants.
I was just thinking that. You probably would shit yourself.
But yeah, I've had a fear of cockroaches ever since. Because basically, the reason why I have a fear of cockroaches, well, there's kind of a reason for why I've had my fears. Because actually, when I was younger, I actually liked spiders. But when at one point basically we're at this one area. It was like a pet store, and there was this guy who had a tarantula in his hand, and he said, "Hey, you want to hold this?" And I was like, "No." And ever since then, I had a fear of spiders. But the cockroaches one is probably the second least bad out of them, and it's still not good. But anyway, so basically, why I have a fear of cockroaches is because at one point when we were in Georgia and we were looking for a new home, we went by a rental home and we thought it looked nice and everything like that. And then it turns out that it had a cockroach infestation in it.
Gross.
Yeah, and we had to live in that house for a while, and there was a cockroach infestation. So it's not good.
Sounds like every house in Richwood, West Virginia back in the day.
Back in the day, you mean still.
Well, it's not as bad, honestly.
They were like I think they said they were American cockroaches, so they weren't the ones that get in your food.
They ID'd them.
Actually,
those are not European cockroaches. Those are American. They do different things.
Yeah, they cook hamburgers.
The ones that come from out of state always has a green card in hand.
Yep.
So
looking for a wife and shit.
One time when I was out eating breakfast. Okay, I was eating breakfast. They didn't get in the bowl. Don't worry, nothing happened with that.
You got definitely psychologically traumatized because of this. I can relate.
And at one point, I felt something crawling on my leg. And I was like, what? Then I looked down at my foot, and there was a cockroach on my foot. And I just screamed and just said, "Oh, fuck!" and just woke everyone up.
Yeah, I can hear you screaming like a girl from here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's frightening. That's like, that's so terrifying when you have that kind of fear. And They saw you, you didn't see it, and you're the last to know that there's a party on you. Dead, done. Can't deal with it.
Okay. There was this one other time I might bring up. When I went back here,
Okay, there was this one other time. I don't know where you went, but it looked like you came down to your desk and came back up with air.
but so one time when I was in Iowa, when I still lived there, I was in the basement. When we have a basement, because for some reason we can't have a basement here for some reason. So we had a basement, and I was in the basement, and I was playing Super Smash Brothers Brawl on the Wii U. Not the Wii U. The Wii U wasn't invented yet, but on the Wii, the regular Wii. And at one point when I was playing, I looked down at my foot, and there was a big wolf spider right by my foot, and I just ran upstairs screaming.
I was pregnant, and we moved into I used to fly airplanes, and we had a hangar, and I was pregnant, and we were moving stuff in, and my husband went to go gamble or go party or go play I don't know what the fuck he did. But he left me there to unbox and put things away, and I had a dog, and the dog got up on the bed and would burrow under the blankets. So I'm laying in bed, pregnant, freaking exhausted, and all of a sudden my dog screams, yelps like I've never heard. So I'm like, well, that was fucked up. And then she does it again. So I whip back the blankets, and there was 3 barn spiders on the curve of the bottom of the bed. So they must have crawled up the sheet, under the sheet, bit my dog. I had to bring her to the vet. It was terrifying. So when you're down in the basement and you got a barn spider crawling up your foot, fuck that. That's heart attack stuff. That shit will actually give me a heart attack.
Yeah.
That and a snake. If a snake comes near me, I'm dead.
I might bring up one thing. This one isn't nearly as bad. That sounds horrible. But there's not. I'm going to bring up something. So, you see him right there? That one?
That cat.
Is it alive?
Yes, he's alive.
Okay.
He's the second cat I got. And he's 13 years old. But he loves me too. He's probably the other animal that loves me more than anyone else in the family. They all like me, but him and my dog Riley just absolutely adore me more than everyone else in the family. So basically when I was younger, back in Iowa still, I forgot to tell you about our first house. We had an infestation that were mice, which clearly aren't bad because I like mice because I think they're cute and everything, which I guess is bad because they're all over the place. But
when they shit everywhere.
Mice would come in every once in a while. But the thing with mice, they aren't as bad to me because they're cute. And yeah, that's pretty much it. They're not gross looking like cockroaches. They're cute. Now, anyway, so when I was in bed sleeping, and at one point I woke up and there was a dead mouse. Not the DJ, but there was a deceased mouse.
Yeah, just right there. It's dead mouse.
You know how? Hold on. So
he was probably in his daddy sack back when this story. Oh, got a cameo.
Yeah, he basically he's the one that brought the mouse into my bed. So because some animals some pets like to bring in like something as a gift, I guess, to their owner, and that was apparently a gift, I guess, was the mouse, and he killed it and tried to give it to me, I guess, but he left it right next to me in bed because I guess it was a gift for me because he liked me, but
gross.
But yeah, and let's see. I did have another cat, Duke. I did have another cat before him that was named Daisy. And Daisy, we had to give away because she kept peeing on everything. And she did live with my grandma for a long time, but she passed away recently. I think just this year. So she's in fact
not peeing on anything anymore.
I don't know if she died from old. I forgot how she died, but if she died from old age, me and Duke will die soon. He's 13. He's pretty old.
Yeah, my cat's 12. I'm having that fear myself. She's getting lighter, and even my dog is 9, and she's having hip problems.
What's weird about him is that he's so old, but he's so energetic. He'll run around and play with my other cats and stuff like that. And he still has a lot of energy in him, even though he's as old as he is. It's kind of weird.
He doesn't like being on YouTube though. He's no.
He's pretty fat too.
No, he's not. And don't show me his dick.
What? Well, I was thinking of doing that. I can't anymore.
You were thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, don't. Just put that thought aside. But I could live without it.
And one problem we've had with Duke is that I might bring this up, is that Duke, he's kind of the cat that is probably the least popular in the family. He's one of my favorites just because he likes me so much. But the reason why is because Duke will, one thing he used to do all the time is he would go and poop on the carpet. And he's done that for such a long time, but he stopped. Like in 2017, he stopped. At least we
Because
thought.
he realized he was old, and if he has to be rehomed, no one's going to want him. So he's like, I better stop shitting on the carpet.
Because he knew that when he does it, it makes me angry, and I don't like it when he does it. He knows he's not supposed to do it, so I think because he knows I don't want him to do it, he stopped. Because the reason why I think that, though, is because when we went somewhere to go on vacation, the person who was watching our house said Duke pooped and peed on the carpet all the time. And then when we got back, he stopped. So, yeah. Pretty
Anxiety?
sure. Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
When we got back to Iowa,
I don't know anything about your childhood.
Not many people actually do.
I'd like to know some.
Well, let's see. I grew up without internet or TV, because we lived in this little this shithole called Mount Lookout. It was basically just this little area where there's a few houses in the middle of fucking nowhere. I already explained what it was like at night in Mount Lookout. I already talked about that on mine and his fans with live stream with the fans last time. Me and him talked about like scary shit that happens in the countryside.
Yeah, I know all too well about that. I live on 10 acres, so yeah. I'm going to go back and watch that one, though, because I want to hear the stories.
Yeah, no, I talked about like the pure darkness that's outside in the countryside when there's no stars out at night, and you look out your window and you can't see shit.
Yeah, and you think someone can see you.
Yep. Anyway, I talked about that. That's what we talked about in the fan live stream. So I'm not. What?
Ty, what's that on your head? You totally distracted me from Chris. What is this on your head? What the fuck is going on?
Perception.
You sure know how to take the attention. That's insane. What are you doing? What you got going on? What? Hat tricks?
No, I don't know.
Okay, Chris, go ahead. I was so distracted.
Yeah, he had to distract himself. Anyway,
Chris.
No, so like the way I explained it, like the way the living situation was, the house itself was well over 50 to 60 years old. So it was already within itself, it was already self-destructing. The toilet was broken. The bathtub was broken. It was a shithole. Like it was a legit shithole. My mom, she was a single mother. She was a nurse that worked all the time, so couldn't really fix anything. And so there's that. But like my room, like I explained on the live stream a few weeks ago, my room was connected to a separate room because they decided to build onto it. But when they connected it with two trailers connected to a real house. So it has a separate room, but it was attached to my room where they kept all sorts of like knickknacks and old broken dryers and all kinds of shit. And then, of course, that actually led to the outside. So there was a room attached to my room, which led to the outside. So that was always creepy and shit. But no, I remember from like childhood, there were certain events. Like I remember, our cat. She had a litter of kittens because my mom was always obsessed with animals, and I remember the kittens. And I remember how my father took them all outside and shot them all with the shotgun, right on the front area, right in the grassy area. I remember that. I remember I actually got a splinter in my eye. And that was actually the night that my father left without ever saying goodbye. So I remember that. I do remember my brother. He was in lockup for a great many years. So I remember when he was actually out of lockup, me and him had some fun time. I mean, he's kind of an asshole. He always has been. But when he was out of lockup, and we used to play like the Sega Genesis. We'd sit there and play games, but that wasn't that often. And then when sometimes when he was home and he wasn't in lockup, because he was in and out of lockup a lot. We'd bring a mattress outside in the front yard and wrestle. We'd go exploring in the backyard and the front yard, pretending like some adventure, some grand adventure. And then let's see. We had a dog. I actually remember this. It was a really old dog, and I'll never forget this. My father and our neighbor, he was this really bad alcoholic who abused his own family, and he had like a sort of farm. Him and my father took two of our dogs down the road with carrying shotguns in hand and never brought them back. So I don't really need to explain what happened there. Let's see, what else was there? We got kicked out because my grandmother actually owned that house. We got kicked out in the middle of winter because my brother at the time, he was 18, I think, and I was 9, and he actually hit me. Like, he punched on me all the time, and we got kicked out of the house because my grandmother owned that, and my grandmother was all about my brother. He can never do no wrong. It was all, she's that way till this day. So we got kicked out in the middle of the winter, and that's when we moved, and I had to go to a whole new school and everything. And that's when we moved to like this place called Craigsville. It was actually much better. I mean, I went to a school where I didn't like have friends or nothing, but the house itself, it was a newer house, and it was interesting because it was the first time I actually had TV and I knew what like Cartoon Network and stuff like that was. So that was interesting, and that's also when I got my first game console. So I thought, that was fun. Unfortunately, that only lasted about a year and a half because during a freak storm, a tree fell on the house and we had to leave. And then we moved to the countryside again, this little shit box trailer, and that's where I went to school for middle school and high school. Will could tell you about that place. As far as that goes, I was friends with like Will and our friend Tyler, which I don't speak to anymore because he turned his back on me. So what it is what it will be. But yeah, there was childhood was one of those things where it was some good moments lined with absolute fucking hell. So yeah.
I think I might bring something up. Is when I was younger there was this one kid, I forgot his name, but my mother's mother's cousin had this I had this one kid who they adopted. I forgot his name, but one thing is that this kid, I'm not sure, but I believe his original mother, I believe, drank or smoked or did something like that when he was younger. And the thing is, as you probably know, Chris, a lot of people who go down a path of when they start like killing people or something like that, they have something like that happen to them where they have damage to their brain or something where their parents may have smoked or drank or something like that while they were a child. And now this guy, when he was a kid, he was always violent. This guy was. He was adopted and everything. But when I was younger, my mom actually told me that he actually tried to beat me up when I was a child. And now look at him today. I'm not kidding. Hold on, let me see here. So, okay, so this same kid, just last year, he killed my mom's cousin and her husband, and then wrecked the house up to make it look like it was a break-in or something. And you want to know why he did it? Okay, so the reason why he did it was because his parents told him that he wouldn't be able to play his games as often.
You know, you told us the story already, right?
Yeah, I think I did. So he originally pleaded for insanity originally. But obviously that didn't work. Now he's in prison, luckily. Hopefully he rots in there. Hopefully he gets raped at some point, I guess. But yes, he's currently away in prison. So hope he rots there, I guess. That's
Anyway,
one thing. But
well,
yeah.
That's why I don't really tell people my childhood or anything nowadays either, because I don't like to talk about it. And I didn't want this to be depressing, but it's hard to talk about my childhood and not for it to be depressing. But I didn't get to tell you about my broken leg. When I was in grade school, I was running and I slipped. And when I slipped, I split the bone in my leg down the middle. Not broke it, but split it. Two completely different things. When you split it, it not only takes longer to heal, but it's a very good chance that it won't heal. And when I split it, the school actually let me lay there for 6 straight hours. They didn't contact my mom or my grandmother or anybody. I sat on the playground from 12 in the afternoon till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, from 12 to 5, and just sat there with one other student. And then eventually a teacher wheeled me into the principal's office and said, "Oh, now that school's over, we're finally contacting your parent." I don't know if you've ever had a broken bone, but imagining having a broken bone and just sitting there for 6 hours without painkillers when you're in the first grade. I still remember that pain to this day, just like when I cut my finger off.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I could really think of that was kind of close to that was one time when I woke up. I went up, and this is a long time ago, I think when I was a child, but I woke up, and I don't know if you know closets. You know how some closets have this little kind of metal hinge that kind of hangs out? But when I got out of bed, and I accidentally slammed my foot into the metal hinge, and then I just ran around the room just with my foot and then I saw there was like a slit in my foot, so that metal thing in the door just like stabbed through the ankle of my foot. That was the only thing that I can really think of that was kind of like that, I suppose. Other time when I was on a bike and I fell and my leg was badly bleeding. That's kind of the only other thing I can really think of where I had a very, very big, massive amount of pain, I guess, because I never broke my leg where I couldn't walk or broke my arm or anything like that when I was younger. Because the thing is, I never really went out to go play around or did any. Well, I mean, I did do soccer when I was younger, but that didn't really last. I didn't enjoy it because I didn't enjoy sports. I never liked sports. I never liked playing with other kids or anything like that. I just hated stuff like that. I've always been like that. I've always hated sports. I always really didn't like going, like even when I was younger, I didn't even like recess because I would like, one time I actually even like tried to stay inside because I didn't want to go play outside, I guess. I don't know. I just always hated stuff like that, I guess. Now what is it, Chloe?
I just wanted to, before I got too far back in the conversation, just tell Chris that I listened and I heard what you said about your childhood, and I just personally want to tell you I can relate to some of the horrific things that you have been through, and I'm really sorry that that's part of your blueprint here this time around on Earth, and that stuff does stick with you, and I commend you for being able to talk about it in the way that you do, because it's not easy talking about that stuff, because oftentimes if you're like me in this sense, you feel like when you talk about it, nobody really wants to hear it. Like they're just listening to be polite. And I just wanted you to know that I heard you and I was listening. And as my friend, I'm really sorry that you have to know what any of that is like. That's it. All of it is wrong. And the fact that you were just a child who had so little control of getting yourself out of that situation and getting yourself the help that you obviously knew you needed. I commend you, Chris, for making it through that and being able to know that what you went through was wrong and that the adults in your life did fail you, whether it be your teachers, your parents, anybody. And I'm just really, from my heart to yours, Chris, very sorry that you had to go through anything like that. That's makes me really sad, and that's why I was crying, because you're a friend of mine, and you never want your friends to have to relate to things like that. Like I have experienced several of those things that you did, and I don't want to go into it because time and everything, but I'm here for you, Chris, and I understand what you went through. I really commend you. You're a really strong person to be able to get through that, and I'm really sorry again that happened to you. I feel like it was really important for me to stop you, Ty, and let Chris understand that I heard him and that I sympathize and empathize with what he's had to endure and what's been imposed upon him that's beyond his control to really do anything about.
Yeah, now I feel kind of bad because I was listening, Chris. I swear I was. And yes, it is very bad that happened. I am very sorry, but I was listening as well. But yeah. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That wasn't awkward, was it? I don't know.
I'm glad you said that, Chloe. Thank you for listening, and that does mean a lot for me, and it takes a lot to actually talk about things like that. But the one thing that you and I actually do both know is we both know that it never ends, does it?
Never ends.
Nope.
Never. And I've had a lot of compounded trauma, so the stuff I had to endure as a child, more shit came as an adult. Failed marriage. You guys don't know a whole lot about my daughter, but she's very abusive and mean to me. And I will share this with you guys. I just found out last week that she's now facing 3 felony charges and a misdemeanor. And she just graduated high school a year ago. And so the pain from what happened with my daughter and my family, that just pours salt on all the childhood wounds. It never fucking ends. I know I told you that I've been really depressed lately, and that's kind of why I've withdrawn from the group with you guys, because nobody wants to see someone cry all the time or really be struggling in life. People don't want that, and I just wanted to make sure you knew, Chris, that I do want that. I want my friends that I care about to be able to know that I can be that person if they don't have anybody, or even if they do, that person that can understand that it never fucking stops. And that you can close your eyes, or you can be in a moment in life where you really intend on having a good moment. And all that shit from your past, all that shit from your childhood will ruin and piss all over everything that I, as an adult, try to do now. I don't choose it. I don't try to focus on all the bad things that happen, but I'll tell you what, it just never stops. And I can't stop it. I've tried to stop it. So I feel for you, Chris, and I thank you for enabling relation, because sometimes I feel like there's something really wrong with me. I can't stop this stuff. I can't stop seeing these things. I can't stop remembering these things. I'll smell a certain smell and it will, for instance, remind me of my ex-husband, who was horrible to me. But those good times that we have really mess up my brain, because when we have good times, like I had amazing times with my daughter, I'm telling you, best thing I've ever done. The best feeling in the world to me that I've ever experienced in my entire life was when my daughter and I would laugh together. And so for all these bad memories to be mixed in and then have these good memories, I feel often torn that there must be something wrong with my head if I'm really this upset about stuff that happened. I mean, I'm 40 now, that happened 40 years ago. And it's just really a relief, Chris, that you said that it just doesn't stop, because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who it's not stopping for. So I thank you for that. And I didn't mean to go off on a side note.
And I would also like to throw in that even some of the good moments, even if they're people that come in and are good to you and you know they're good for you and they are good, you still will somehow see it as a bad thing and you will continuously question whether it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, and they never stay. In my opinion, in my experience, they never seem to stay. But the people who are rotten and don't value me or will put me on discount, like you go into a grocery store and there's like a discount aisle of items that they decided weren't worth their full value. I don't know how I got put in this world where people decided how much my value was and when they could discount me or throw me away or replace me. I didn't realize that was a real part of life.
You tend to question everything and everybody and what they do. And the more you question it, the more insane you start to feel. And it's not good. It's not good. Because then you stay up till 3 and 4 in the morning, wondering what the hell you're doing and why you're awake at 4 in the morning and what is seriously wrong with you.
Yep. I go through that every day, Chris.
And I can kind of say I can kind of relate, Chloe, because as I've kind of said, is that when me and my dad, for instance, is honestly, me and my dad, I do love my dad, but the thing is, I was never like, the thing with me and my dad back in the day, we used to get in arguments all the time. Because the thing is with my dad is that he kind of would get angry kind of easily over little things. Like he would just get annoyed easily is kind of what it is. And he was, I don't know, he would always raise his voice to me and stuff like that. He was never abusive or anything like that. He definitely not. He was a good father. But I feel like he was too interested in just doing his working, I guess, and spending time with his family, which is kind of a problem. That's and he, I don't know, he just get annoyed easily. It's probably why I got in arguments with him all the time. It's because he would always be annoyed and angry over things I do. Like even if, like, for instance, even if like I would, if I took a tissue and like blow my nose, my dad would say, "That's not how you do it. You do it this way." But later on, obviously, because my dad spent less and less time with us growing up because he had to move to Georgia and everything like that with where he was, and then Dad kept going other places for work. And after the divorce, and the reason my dad had the divorce, actually, I won't tell you why, but after that, I got very, very angry at him and was very disappointed in him for what he did, I suppose, after that. And I still am close to him, and I don't really feel that way anymore. I'm still very close to him. Well, I guess. I don't know. But clearly, I know my dad loves me. I love my dad, but I don't know. I kind of feel like I wish I could have been closer to him in some way, I suppose, if that makes sense. Because I do get to see him sometimes, but I don't really get to see him super often, I guess. But I guess, I don't know, he's just not really a people person, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I wish that you will never go through what I've been through, and I wish you never are around people who are like narcissists and who gaslight you,
I'm living with one.
because I have that now, and I've had that my whole life, and that's combined with everything else. So I hope you don't have that type of shit, because you'll start to feel like you're going insane. And it's not good for you, because you know you're not, but you never know. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, we are 6 minutes past stopping time. But before we go, does anyone else have anything else to say?
You got anything, Will?
I guess I'll say something like amongst the lines of like of what we've all been talking about, or you guys have. I can somewhat relate, but at the same time not. For the fact of like my past memories of like negative like just different points of my childhood have been more affected, like of me witnessing like family being hurt or injured or anything like that of the sort. But in particular, like in terms of myself, my mom had a shitty fucking boyfriend for like X amount of years, and shit just went in a downward spiral. And eventually, to having us like move into probably the shittiest part of West Virginia, which was Richwood, and lived there for X amount of years, still living there for X amount of years. And yeah, I've just been pretty much stuck here. But I will say that despite of all the negativity in that particular time, I will honestly say, if it weren't for that, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys, and especially I wouldn't most likely I probably wouldn't have one of my best friends in the world, which is Darkman over there. At least I can look that as a positive vibe from all the negative shit that has happened within the past.
Well, do you realize how hard it is for someone to be able to experience that, whether it be on the front lines or the sidelines, and actually look back at it before you die? I'm not joking, and actually say, you know what, all that shit fucking sucked, but I'll tell you what, I can't really tell you that that's what I focus on, because what I really am feeling is that I made an awesome fucking friend, and I was there for people who didn't have people there for them. And had all that stuff not happened, I wouldn't have those things. So I commend you, because I think a lot of people spend their entire lives trying to find the good out of all the bad that's happening. So for you to be able to bullet point it like that, I really respect that, and I commend that. I think that's an amazingly valuable sentence and thought that you shared. And I think that I am not able to do that quite yet. I'm starting to, but I'm 40 years old, and I still have a hard time finding, why did that happen? What good came out of that?
And it's a good possibility you'll never find it.
Good point. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
So, any last words, Ty?
I might bring up, Chris, do you think I could maybe show Will and Chloe the two items I got? Well,
I mean, can you do it fast?
Your private collection of us on your wall.
well, that's later.
You've been stalking my Instagram?
New vinyl. All right, new vinyl and new CD, and I got a new puppy, and you can see the puppy at the beginning of the video because I had to bring her back downstairs because she's supposed to be sleeping, and so she's currently sleeping with my mom at the moment. the puppy.
Super happy for you, Ty. That's all so much awesome, good stuff happening for you.
Thank you.
All right, and Chloe.
No, I just want to thank you, Chris, for having me. Will, I hope you had a good vacation. Ty, I'm really happy that everything's been going well for you, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys around and about digitally and behind the scenes. So thank you very much.
I'm starting college on July 30th.
Congratulations. Awesome.
All right, then. Well, what can I say? But my name is Chris.
William the Real Deal.
It's Chloe Clive.
I'm Ty.
And peace the fuck out.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.
Hey.